Hello, I'm David.
Hello, I'm Julie.
Now we're going to do a review of Terraforming Mars, the dice game, Roll Mars to Life. This is for ages 14 and up, takes about 45 minutes, and it's for 1 to 4 players, which means it includes rules for solo play. We'll give an overview of the game first, then we'll give our rating and the reasons for our rating, and then we'll compare it to some other dice games you see behind us. So we backed this on Kickstarter because we don't always get a chance to play the full version, and Julie's a big fan of dice games, and so am I. Here is Mars, and there's another side for variety. You can play either side. The object of the game is to score the most victory points before 2 of 3 parameters are met. That's when the game ends. Either you get the temperature up to plus 8 degrees Celsius, you get the oxygen up to max to 16, and or you place all 7 oceans. So if you have 2 of those 3, as I destroy the oceans there, the game ends. And then you determine victory points. This is an expansion here. The corporate era cards, and you'll see it has a little yellow symbol here. You won't be playing with these in the basic game, nor do you need to play with the promo cards, which has 2 purple dots there. So when you open up your game up, you'll want to be able to separate those components. So you'll start the temperature, the oxygen, and the oceans here at 0. You'll see that there's 5 dice here. These are bonus points that you can get at the end of the game. And when you watch the how to play and playthrough, it's spelled out in the rules. I just did not read it carefully. We played incorrectly that you want to try to get as many production dice of that color. Instead, what it is you want to get cards out that have these symbols. So I'll explain that in a moment. So in a 2-player game, there's no second place, but whoever has the most energy, temperature, and science is going to get 5 points for each of those. In a 3 or 4-player game, there would be a second place. And if there's a tie, you share the tied place, except if the tie for first place, there's no second place. Then you have milestones here. Well, I have it upside down, huh? Mm-hmm. You'll do 3 of these randomly, and these will be worth 4 victory points at the end of the game as well. That's what the red ribbons mean. And there's a nice chart here at the back to tell you what it means. So this means have 3 blue cards in play. So the first one, this is the race part of the game. To get 3 blue cards out, that's what these look like right here. We'll grab this and put it to the side, and then at the end of the game you'll get 4 points. Here you want to have at least 1 production of each dice color. And what does production look like? Production are these green cards in these brown boxes. So this will produce a yellow die, a green die, and 2 blue dice. Those are some examples right there. Here's that you want to have 7 dice of any kind, resources of the same color, out at one time. So if you have 7 red or 7 green, that either you take through doing support actions, or you do a production turn where you grab the dice, which I'll explain here in a moment. So these are worth bonus points at the end of the game. Milestones are worth bonus points also at the end of the game that you collect during the game. And if you want to know how do you get those symbols, so you see right here, if you got these blue cards, you see how you have to pay for these cards here on the upper left? This would count. If I had both these cards, I'd have 2 energy and 2 science. And this is going to be randomized every time you play. It's always going to be different symbols and different dice. So that's the setup in terms of how you get points. Other ways you get points is by placing things. So if you raise the oxygen up, you get 2 victory points. If you raise the temperature, 2 victory points. Place an ocean, 2 victory points. Place a city, 2 victory points, plus 1 for each forest near it. So if it was a situation like this, and I place the city here, not only would I get an extra victory point for covering up that spot, I get 2 for placing the city and 1 for each one of those 4. So that would be a 5 victory point placement right there. Now you can't place cities next to cities. That's left off the back here. That's why you see this note. And then you got the green ribbons, which score victory points right away. And those are at the end of the game. Now why is it important when points score during or after the game? Because the first one to get 5 points, you're going to have 4 bonus cards here, randomly chosen. And the first one to get 5 victory points, let's say that's Julie, she looks at these 4 cards and she picks one and she adds it to her tableau. And then when I get there, I look at the 3 that's left, It's possible that Julie can get to the 12 even before I get to the 5, and she would be able to draw another one from the 3. So you'll get 2 bonus cards during the game when you hit 5 and 12 victory points. And that's why these don't score until the end, because you get there really quick. So let's take a look at the cards that you'll be getting. Green cards is going to increase your production, like I pointed out. These would be dice that you roll and when you take a production action. Blue cards you can use once during your turn and then they'll reset. It says to flip the card. It really means rotate. So when you rotate it, that means you've used it, and then it will unrotate when you take a production action. So this means you got to spend a steel die to get 3 dice of your choice, and it's worth 1 victory point at the end of the game. This one here you can do at any time. Spend an energy die, and you can rotate any die to any side that you want. So the green means any time. This means you got to take an action to do it. Red cards, for instance, this is a special tile that you'll place down on Mars, and then you can cover up something with it to get that. This will give me a random green die, and then when you get it, you roll it. So if I did pay for that one, I can cover up any spot. That gives me 2 cards, for instance. This one will allow me to place a city. Raise the temperature and oxygen. That's worth 4 victory points, but it takes a lot of dice to get it out. Here you place an ocean, and then you get a water die. Here you get 2 random green dice. You roll them, and it's worth 1 victory point. So those are some examples. Now here's a little bit of take that. This game doesn't happen too often, but you get raise the temperature up twice, and you get 4 victory points for that. And then your opponent must lose a green die. And if you see here, as you move up on the oxygen or temperature track, you can get bonus dice just that you can use. So at the beginning of the game, you're going to get 2 corporation cards. You will choose one of them. So Julie will look at hers. So if I take this one, for instance, I'm red and Julie's blue. This means I'm going to get 3 wild tokens that you can spend once for any die. It goes above there, and you cover it up so it doesn't confuse you, so you know you've used it. And Julie's going to get 2 victory points right away. I'm at 0. And she gets 4 wild tokens. And then I start out with 2 gray dice and 1 blue die. I roll them. This is my starting dice. Julie rolls hers. Okay, so now we determine who goes first. Whoever goes first must give a die to the other player. Let's say we don't want to go first because we want to give up our dice. We can flip, we'll flip this. I'll be forest, and Julie is city. Okay, so I'm going first, so I have to give up one of my dice. But before I do that, I do get to see what 5 cards we start out with. Now, I didn't shuffle these, so this will be interesting. Because you do get to see what 5 cards you're going to start with before you pick your corporation. So I did that a little out of order. So I don't have any green cards. Julie has a ton of green cards. And so this is our starting hand. I'm going first. I could have given Julie the blue die instead of the but it looks like I need the water for this. So on your turn, you get to either do a production turn or an action turn. If you do an action turn, you can take any die you want and you roll it. So I need red. I don't have any red or yellow. Let's say I take a red die, so maybe I can get this aquifer out, and I roll it. I did not get what I wanted. Another thing I can do is I can spend the die to rotate a die. I can spend the die to get 2 cards, or I can use a blue action that requires a die. That's not on the reference sheet. That's why I wrote it there. So that's a support action. Now I do a main action. One of the things you can do as a main action is take another support action. Or you can spend dice to put a card out. You can use 3 heat to raise the temperature, 3 water to place an ocean, 4, I guess is that leaf? I'll show you the symbols here. I remember most of them plants.
Yeah, you did.
Oops. Okay, so here's what the sides mean. I could
Plants.
do 4 plants to place a tree. I could do 3 cities to place a city, and I could do 3 mega credits to get 2 victory points. Here are the odds of what you'll roll. Common is on 4 of the sides, uncommon's on 2, no, I'm sorry, common's on 3 of the sides, uncommon's on 2 of the sides, and rare is only on 1 side. So it's a 1 in 6 chance you'll get one of the rares. So one thing to keep in mind with this game that makes it different than other dice games, you don't re-roll dice. I could take a support action. So I did my support action here. I picked up a red die and rolled it. I did not get a heat. But I could spend this gray die to turn this into a heat. My turn's done. I did one support action, and then as another main action, I did another support action. Then Julie would go. When it comes back to my turn, you need to do a support action before I do something else. So let's say I want to get another blue die. I do that. I got it. Not something I wanted, but now I'm going to spend these 2 dice to put out the aquifer out. So I spend it. And now I put out an ocean. And I could cover up one of these spots where there's an ocean. I will do, see, I don't have any green cards here. I'll get a new card. So I'll go here, cover it up. I go up 2 victory points, get a new card, and that was my turn. Now, another thing you can do is do a production turn. Let's say Julie, during the game, she had put out these green cards. This is a quicker way to get dice. So that's her tableau of dice. She has, let's say, 4 dice. So the way you do a production turn, first you determine which 3 dice you're going to keep. And Julie would look at what she has. So she'll keep the leaf. She doesn't need the yellow, and she'll keep these 3. This gets put back. Now she looks at her, how many cards she has. She can discard cards, but she's happy what she has, so she draws up to 5. Now, you can have as many cards as you want. Let's say you had 6 and you didn't discard any. You would have to discard down to 5 now. Now she's got 5 cards. Now she's going to roll the dice. She's going to take production. She gets a yellow and a red, a green and 2 gray, and then she rolls them. And that's it. Her turn is done. Now she can see what she can do with those dice to get these cards out, and she could always spend as many of these tokens as you want to replace dice. And so you keep on going back and forth, either doing production to get, for me, I would only get these 3 dice, but eventually I'll have what Julie has. I'll have additional dice. Or you take support turns until 2 of the 3 parameters are met, and then we score our victory points. Right now, for instance, Julie would have, do you have any energy? Yeah, you would have 1 energy. If I only had this, she would get these 5 victory points. Anybody have heat?
Nope.
Nope. And nobody has science. But if I had, oh no, I did have a heat. I got the aquifer, I would have had that. But we would have a lot more cards.
Yeah.
If you watch the How to Play and Play Through, you're going to get out probably about 20 cards easily by the time the game ends. Okay, so that's how you play. Take a look at the How to Play and Play Through. There is a couple corrections that you can see in the description when you watch it. Let's see how we rated it now.
Yes.
We both said 9.
Yes.
Excellent. Very much enjoy playing.
Yep.
In fact, we've been playing this game a lot lately, and that's a good thing. We don't get a chance to replay games because we're always trying to learn new games for the channel, but this is a game that we've been going back to.
Yep.
Let's talk about why. So it's a more accessible Terraforming Mars, and less time and less complexity. The problem with Terraforming Mars is it takes about 2 hours to play, and there's a lot of text on the cards that can make it fiddly. This is very accessible, where you only have to worry about what you're buying, and once you've bought it, you do what it says. Your production you only have to worry about when you take production action, and occasionally you'll have a couple of blue cards that you may want to use. So not a lot of downtime between turns trying to figure out what you're going to do. So that's why it's less complex. So it's a fun dice race mechanic and decisions. So you'll see in the How to Play and Play Through, there are times when we're trying to beat each other to try to get these milestones or to get the bonus cards, and trying to get the right cards for this. So that makes it fun. It's a good combination of racing and the dice part. Because you'll see at times that you could take a support action to get a new die and hope you roll what you need.
Yeah.
So even though I might have a red, right? And let's say I need a nuclear. Well, I could spend a die to change that red to nuclear. Or I could just take a red die and roll and hope I get lucky, which I didn't. And then I could take another support action. I'm going to try again. And
I've
I got
done
it.
that numerous times.
Okay, and I got it now. So that's part of the fun, is you can push your luck a little bit there. Instead of spinning dice to get exactly what you need, you just may try to get dice and roll it.
Yep.
So it's limited player interaction. That's okay. It's a dice game. There's a little bit of take that, but not much.
Very little.
Quality pieces and art, as you can see here on the cards. Very nice. These are linen finish. The cardboard's thick. These are average thickness. The dice are etched, as you will see here. So good job on the production quality. And then finally, decent replayability. We haven't even played with the expansion yet.
No.
And we love this game as much as a 9. It could go up to a 10 because of that. Or we haven't even played with the promo cards. Or played solo and we like this game that much. So there's some rulebook and reference material missteps. I'll explain that here. So when it's missing here on the reference that cities cannot go next to each other. And it's also missing on the reference sheet here that you can use blue cards as a support action or as a main action. Other than that, it's straightforward. It's just that when it comes to using the reference materials, I had to add notes. So that's a misstep. I shouldn't have done that. If you would have given that to other people to play it, they would have pointed it out to you. And in fact, even right here, it doesn't explain everything on the production turn. When we're playing the game, I had to refer to this for a long time before we got it down. And that's because they didn't include enough detail here. So other than that, that's a misstep because people who are not used to games like this will probably not know that you can't play cities next to each other if they go by just what it says.
Right.
All right, so let's see what Julie has to say.
Well, I think it's a super fun race game, and it has dice, so that's a winner for me. I also like that it doesn't take too long to play with 2 players as it does with the board game. It's easy to learn and play, quality pieces and nice art, and lots of replayability. So pretty much everything David said, but I did this all on my own.
Well, we do it separately. We don't know what each person is going to say. So that is why it is a 9 for us, and maybe we'll go up to a 10. So let's take a look at some other games behind us. If you're looking for other dice game ideas, these are our favorites. If we did a top 100 list, this would be on our list. So Sushi Go, we prefer this over regular Sushi Go.
Sushi Roll.
Yeah, Sushi Roll, thank you. We prefer this over regular Sushi Go and Sushi Go Party because we like being able to roll dice and push your luck. When you play with the cards, you're pretty much stuck with what you have. Here, you can, the dice are rolled every time when they switch from round to round, so you can get different things. That makes it a lot of fun.
Yes.
So that's a 10 for us. Another 10 by the same company is Nations Dice. We used to play this a lot, but when you're doing so much content, you don't get to play your older games as much. This is a civilization builder that actually can play in 30 minutes. And I don't want to play a 2-hour civilization game or a 4-hour civilization game. And so check this out. This has the expansion here. You go through different eras, improving your civilization.
So cool.
Stone Age, of course, is a worker placement with dice. If you haven't played this, this is one of the first worker placement games with dice. And it's still a game that we love today.
Our boys like this one.
Oh, yeah,
too.
because we got it when it first came out and they were young. Now, not everybody likes King of Monster Island. We prefer this over King of Tokyo because this is a cooperative version. And, I mean, we still love King of Tokyo. But it's a take that game. This one here, we're trying to stop the bad guys from destroying the Earth, and we're monsters helping the humans. And it's again, a dice game as well, but it's cooperative. Yeah. So there's some ideas for you that tells you what kind of dice games we like. And so thanks for watching.
Thank you so much, you guys.
We'll see you in the next video.
Yep. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. See ya.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.